It is 7 o'clock and you're waking up to Ireland AM with all of us. It is the 27th of September. Happy Friday.
You lucky thing. Now, coming up, a double child benefit and a €250 energy credit before Christmas. That's what's been predicted ahead of Tuesday's budget. We'll reveal what your morning papers have to say.
Plus, the League of Ireland title race is heating up in a thrilling three-way battle. We'll discuss all today's top sports stories.
New research on sex trafficking and exploitation in Ireland has been published. We'll be discussing the shocking findings which sees many traffickers escaping prosecution due to a legal loophole.
Also coming up today, broadcaster Sinead Crowley announced her shock departure from RTE News earlier this year. She chats about her latest project.
Plus, after 9, we get a masterclass from Hairstylist to the stars Michael Douglas, who's tamed the tresses of everyone from Kate Moss to Gwyneth Paltrow and to his own Mrs. Davina McCall. What she can do, could she do something for us? Do something for me? You girls are fine. I'm just thinking of myself.
Well, thank you very much. I don't know. We'll see.
Jesus, that was a good save, wasn't it?
And it's not the only Michael Douglas in Ireland at the moment. Because the other Michael Douglas is here as well with his lovely wife, Catherine.
Yeah. With Bono singing happy birthday to him yesterday.
I know, it's gas. Anyway, more on the Michaels a little later. Now let's check on your morning papers, starting with the Irish Times. It leads with Varadkar says rise in immigration too fast. The paper writes that when speaking to the University of Notre Dame's college newspaper, the former Taoiseach stressed that while a majority of people believe immigration had brought benefits to the country in recent years, people are also right to think that numbers have risen too quickly.
Front page of the Irish Independent opens with double child benefit, €250 energy credit by Christmas. The paper writes that the energy credit and double child benefit payment have been agreed for inclusion in next week's budget bonanza as the coalition seek to front-load any bonus payments ahead of the looming election.
Over to the Irish Examiner, which goes with USC cut to boost low and middle earners. The paper writes that low and middle income earners are to benefit from a cut to the universal social charge from 4% to 3% as part of next week's budget, which would see hundreds of euro a year returned to their pay packets.
On to the tabloids now. The Irish Daily Mail reads OPW's late U-turn on €600,000 PR contract. The paper writes that a public relations contract worth €600,000 was pulled last night amid claims that the OPW is treating the public purse like monopoly money.
The Irish Daily Star also covers the OPW financial scandal with harebrained. The paper writes that the now pooled contract was set to hire communications specialists who would help manage the negative publicity amid the fallout of the recent bike shed and security hut controversies.
The Mirror also leads with the OPW U-turn. Their headline reads €600,000 backspin.
The front page of The Sun reads Michaela, no justice. The paper writes that the last suspect in the Michaela McAreavey murder case has been cleared, shattering any hopes of justice for the 27-year-old who was killed on her honeymoon in 2011.
And finally, the Herald writes carjack accused is charged with abducting baby. The paper writes that a Dublin man has been charged with hijacking a car and abducting a 5-month-old baby who was inside at the time. The vehicle was found around 2 hours later with the child unharmed.
Up next, a preview of next week's budget. We'll be discussing the stories making your front of your morning paper. See you in 3. You're very welcome back. It's 4 days to Budget 2024 and already leaks are being reported. Joining us to discuss the front of your morning paper is our political correspondent for the Irish Mirror, Louise Byrne, and Simon Tierney, journalist and presenter of Race to the White House on Newstalk. Thank you both so much for joining us on the show this morning. As when I say budget leaks are already floating around the place, they've been floating around the place for months.
Yeah, it's quite unusual because I was chatting to some of my colleagues in Leinster House yesterday and we were kind of saying, you know, we know a lot about this budget now. The final few things are to be worked out, things like the social protection package, how much the pension's going to go up by, all those kind of niggly bits. That won't be until Monday night, but we do seem to know an awful lot of this budget. So we do know yesterday the 3 coalition leaders, Simon Harris, the Taoiseach, Taoiseach Micheál Martin and Green Party leader Roderick O'Gorman met with Finance Minister Jack Chambers and with Public Expenditure Minister Paschal Donoghue. And the big thing that seemed to come out of that, my sources were telling me last night, is this idea that Minister Chambers put forward on the universal social charge, the USC, which was of course meant to be a temporary measure, but still with us unfortunately. So what they are looking at is quite a substantial jump, actually. So last year it was reduced by 0.5%. But what Minister Chambers is proposing this year is to reduce it from 4% to 3% on earnings between €25,000 and €70,000. And it would amount to a couple of hundred, certainly, back for a lot of people. Now, what my sources were also telling me last night is that this is not the only thing that is being looked at as part of the tax package. So Minister Chambers has this proposal on the USC. And there's also still examination of the tax bands ongoing, the cut-off for the 40% rate of tax. They're also still looking at what they're going to do with the tax credits. Probably won't have any clarity on that until Sunday night, Monday night, but definitely seems like its work is still ongoing and it's all coming together. But I think that USC news last night was quite a big announcement, especially when you're still 4 days out from the budget.
USC, Simon, you have strong feelings about this.
I mean, this has to be one of the most the hated tax in this country. As you say, it was brought in, Louise, as a temporary measure, but we still have it how many years later? We still see it at the end of our payslip every month. It is a big change. I think a lot of people were hoping that this was going to be a massive giveaway budget. It's not going to be quite one for everyone in the audience, in the sense that there are some things, like the child benefit, for example, right? People like myself who have young kids, that hasn't been increased in, I think, 12 or 13 years. It's just extraordinary when you think about how much parents are paying for groceries to feed their children now compared to 13 years ago, yet the benefit hasn't increased. Now, from the leaks, we do know that it's likely that there will be a double child benefit payment just before Christmas, as there was, I think, last year as well, wasn't there? But in terms of the ongoing monthly universal payment for parents and for their children, that's not going to change. I think that will be disappointing. One thing, of course, pensioners tend to vote in their droves, so they will likely get a bounce. Minister Humphreys wants to increase the pension by €15. I think that's probably likely to go through as well.
It's a very big crowd pleaser there, really, isn't it? Yeah. So it will be an interesting to see if an election is called a few days after the budget or a couple of weeks afterwards.
I'm told it's definitely not going to be a couple of days afterwards anyway. I know there were some suggestions yesterday in one of the newspapers saying that Fine Gael TDs were preparing for the election to be called as soon as next week, and kind of people saying yesterday that it wasn't going to happen, that, you know, the logistics of it, you don't announce a budget and then don't, you know, even publish the finance bill and get the kind of legislative things underway to get all this into writing. I think Simon's right. I think €15 on the pensions is quite likely. And I think it's actually quite interesting as well what Heather Humphreys is looking at. She's saying increase the pension by a greater amount and then not increase long-term job seekers allowance to the same value. So they're looking at either not increasing that at all or increasing it by just a couple of euro. And that's kind of an interesting tactic, and I think kind of something Fine Gael kind of pinning their colours to the mast before a potential election.
I suppose there's a bit of spin that needs to be done ahead of that, because the bike shed controversy is rumbling on and it's taken legs, it's grown legs and arms and God knows what else, because we have another scandalous story this morning.
Yeah, this is the security hut, or the security pavilion, as the Office of Public Works are referring to it the other day. But it's this €1.4 million security hut that's been situated just beside the Department of Finance, opposite the Marion Hotel. And what we learned on Wednesday at the Finance Committee when John Conlon, the chair of the OPW, was in, was that this cost €1.4 million. Now, yesterday, the OPW, who has had a bad month, I think it's fair to say, between the bike shed and the security hut.
And it got worse.
They put out a tender for €600,000 looking for communications advice, and kind of it very much looked and read like it was emergency communications advice, and it spoke about, you know, rebuilding trust, all this kind of stuff. And as you can imagine, it was met with consternation in political circles. Sinn Féin's Pearse Doherty saying to me last night, well, if they're doing this now, does this mean that there's more that we don't know about that's going to emerge? And then in another twist, that tender was pulled last night, and it was withdrawn, and it's messy. It's not a good look. And I think given all that's come before it, the €336,000 bicycle shed, the 1.4 on the security hut, and then even the fact that the €600,000 tender was issued for communications, it's been a bad week for the OPW.
Yeah.
I think we're still a bit unsure what's going on here, because we got confirmation around 6:30 last night that the contract for tender was being pulled. But my understanding is that the current contract that the OPW had with another PR firm was due to expire in November. And when we were chatting about this outside, myself and Louise, we were thinking, well, is this a coincidence? Or, were they going to have to get a new contract anyway? Is this just bad timing? Are they going to be left with no communication strategy, which perhaps seems like what's happening at the moment? We just don't know yet.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous when you think about it, because, I mean, from all the budget giveaways, all the things they're going to do, people are just going to go bike shed, bike shed, bike shed.
Yeah, and it's coming up.
A bit like closing the barn door after the horse has bolted, trying to PR manage it now.
But it's also coming up on the doors. Roger Gorman was saying to me at a press conference yesterday when I was asking him about this, he was saying he was at a coffee morning in his constituency and it was coming up. Other TDs as far as Galway were saying to me that when they were knocking on doors, this was coming up, the bike shed. Now we have the security hood on top of it. It's, it's one of those things that can trip a government up going into an election.
Yeah,
you gotta love the euphemistic language here. The security pavilion, Louise, get it right.
I beg your pardon.
Pavilion.
I beg your
What's
pardon.
the difference between a hut and a pavilion?
A pavilion is worth an extra few $100,000, Elaine. That's the difference.
Yeah. We'll finish on something a little lighter today, I think. We're laughing about the pavilion, but it's no laughing matter. But Bono has been in full voice wandering around Dublin with some very special people.
Yeah, so this is a story my colleague Sandra Mallon was covering in the Irish Mirror and the Irish Star this morning. But Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michael Douglas are in Dublin and they've kind of been spotted across the city a couple of times. Catherine Zeta-Jones here to film the Wednesday Netflix show and had a birthday during the week, and there's Dubliner Bono there showing them around as only Bono could, but celebrating a birthday. And yeah,
he's 80, isn't he?
80,
and she's they have the same birthday, don't they? And she's 55.
She's 55.
She's a fair bit younger.
Yeah, he does like randomly singing happy birthdays. Donkeys years ago, my uncle had a restaurant in town. It was my grandmother's birthday and they were bringing the cake. Bono happened to be in the restaurant and stood up to sing happy birthday and serenade her. So she hadn't a breeze who he was. She was like, who's that Bowsy? Tell him to get away from my cake. So I thought that was gas. But he does like having the birthday crack. But of course, when you look at Jenna Ortega popped up at a gig in the Olympia. You've Catherine Zeta-Jones. Everyone seems to be around Dublin these days.
Well, there's so many productions, Hollywood productions that are being made in Ireland now. It's brilliant for the filmmaking industry here in Ireland and all the people who are involved in that. It's brilliant. It's
absolutely great when you think about it, isn't it? And God knows, might pop out and say hello to us here someday.
I'd say you might have some of them on the couch here now soon.
I prefer ye. You're much better crack.
Good answer.
They won't be able to talk about the budget with me, and then where would I be? Anyway, thank you both so much for joining me on the show today. Excuse me. See you next time now. Coming up with the League of Ireland title race heating up in a thrilling three-way battle, we'll look ahead to tonight's Premier Division showdown and the rest of today's biggest stories after this short break.
You're very welcome back to IrelandAM now. It's been reported that stronger legislation and law enforcement are needed to respond to online pimping and sexual exploitation. That's according to a new study.
Ruth Breslin from the Sexual Exploitation Research and Policy Institute has expressed concern that women and girls are being controlled and exploited in the sex trade right across Ireland. She joins us now to discuss. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. What exactly is your organisation and what does it do, I suppose, for people who may be unaware?
So we are the SERP Institute, Sexual Exploitation Research and Policy Institute, and we're very lucky to have the support and partnership with the Community Foundation Ireland. And really what we're doing is gathering evidence about the sex trade in Ireland. What's going on in it, what's happening for the women that are involved, because it is primarily women that are involved and many of them are being very, very exploited. The behaviour of the sex buyers, how the trade is organised, what the pimps and traffickers are doing. And I suppose really we're about kind of gathering all that evidence, kind of busting some of the myths about the trade and looking for the truth, and then that evidence is used to inform policy and practice and laws in the future.
You're gathering evidence, and you've just published a report to say that 800 sex workers in Ireland are advertising their services every day. And how would you go about conducting that investigation?
So we've gathered data from loads of different places over about 8 years now, actually, to build a profile of who's in the sex trade and how it works. But in this particular study, we decided to look at how prostitution is advertised, because what we find is that most of the women in prostitution in Ireland, who are very often kind of young, vulnerable migrant women primarily, there's very few Irish women being advertised, we find that they're advertised on this one particular website that sex buyers know about, and that's where they go to kind of select their women. So this particular study really focused on that website, just looking at how the women are organised. But what we were particularly looking for was those kind of indicators of control, of exploitation, of trafficking.
Now, the age of some of the women and girls that were being advertised was quite troubling for you. Bring us more detail on that.
Sure. So we found that about a fifth of the women on the site are being advertised as between the ages of 18 and 25.
18 and 25.
And every day there's about 7 or 8 teenagers on the site. So, I mean, 18 and 19-year-olds, they're being advertised as that age. But there was an extra concern for us this time when we had a look that it's not just that the women are very young. They're being advertised in a very childlike way, some of them. They have a profile where they describe themselves, and they're describing themselves as a little princess, a young, cute, petite girl. You know, all of these kind of descriptions. I'm slender, I'm cute, I like to wear pretty dresses. And they're being dressed in this very young way. So they're wearing frilly dresses.
They're being infantilised a little bit.
Very much infantilised. Schoolgirl uniforms, holding school books, holding lollipops, hugging teddy bears. And we just thought that was particularly concerning because it speaks to a particular demand among sex buyers for very, very young girls. And we just feel that they are very, very vulnerable. And there was some really strong indicators of sexual exploitation there.
Yeah. And how can you tell if a sex worker is voluntarily doing it for their own, because of their own autonomous choices, or if they're being coerced or if they have been trafficked, because it's very difficult to know. And they're two very separate things.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the kind of, in a way, one of the dangers of this website is that every single woman has been advertised as an independent escort. But when we look more deeply into it, so they're giving this illusion of independence, and when we look more deeply into it, the profile that we've built up over the years is that probably about 10 to 15% of those women have been trafficked. Probably about 5 to 10% would identify as sex workers and would say this is their job. Yeah. And then there's a big vulnerable majority in between, about 80%, who maybe don't fit that tight definition of having been trafficked, but they're very exploited. Somebody is controlling them, somebody is making a lot of money from them. They don't have much choice about the sex buyers they see or the sex acts they have to perform. So, you know, we recognise that there's a broad spectrum of people in the trade, but I suppose, you know, we need to hear more, I think, from the voices of those who are very vulnerable and very exploited, and that is the vast majority, to be honest.
The vast majority?
The vast majority.
Oh my God, that's so troubling.
Yeah, no, and it's as if it isn't concerning enough that there's youth that's being promoted. There's a list, the X Factors.
Yes.
These are quite concerning.
So we were using this kind of matrix that's been developed in the UK to look for all of these different types of indicators. And this matrix has 28 indicators, and in the space of a month we found 19 indicators of potential exploitation, potential trafficking on the site. And one of those indicators is called the X factor. And it's one of those things additional to the youth and the level of organisation. It's one of those things where you look at it and say, there's something about this ad, there's something about this woman's profile that doesn't sit right with me. So some of the kind of X factor things we discovered during this time was women who are available 24/7. So 24 hours, 7 days a week, they're available to sex buyers at any time of the day or night. And we thought that was really concerning and a sign that this woman wasn't choosing to do this, that she was being controlled. Other X factors included ads. For example, we found an ad of a woman who was very visibly bruised, had bruising all over her inner and outer thighs, and yet she was being, you know, advertised very obviously. There was a number of concerning ones. A woman who's been advertised who's very visibly pregnant, and her pregnancy was being used to kind of attract sex buyers.
And is that an indicator of they're being controlled, or is it an indicator of almost a fetish sort of thing? Do you know?
I suppose they're often being advertised to kind of fulfil these desires and these fetishes of sex buyers. But what it says is, it doesn't say this is definitely means trafficking is happening. It's an indicator to say we need to look more closely. We need to find that this woman, where is she? What's going on for her? We need to check her welfare.
Who is involved in trafficking and who is involved in forced and coercive pimping out of these women? What sort of groups are we talking about here?
So it's a real mix. So while we see, as I said, a very small number of women advertising the website who are kind of independent and they're, you know, setting up their sort of own operation and keeping all of their own money, the vast majority is being run by organised crime, to be honest with you, which means they're organising groups of women. They're moving them around the country for the purpose of exploitation, from location to location. The women often speak very little English, so it's a very frightening experience for them to be moved to all of these different places. And I suppose when we look at the gangs, it's a mix of international and domestic organised crime gangs. There also are women who have experiences where it's a bit more of a essentially their pimp is their boyfriend, and they're in a kind of relationship of coercive control, and it's the boyfriend who's organising everything for them. But definitely a lot of kind of organised criminality involved, and it makes it such a dangerous place for the women. I mean, it is a very scary place to be. So even when you go on the website and look at the women smiling and happy and offering all of these, you know, sexual services, underneath that is, I think, a much darker underbelly.
Now, for those who are unaware, is prostitution a punishable crime in Ireland?
So it's a good question, and we've been kind of on a long journey with this in Ireland. So in 2017, we decriminalised those who sell sex. So we said, look, there was a recognition across the board that these women are really vulnerable, that they're experiencing a lot of violence, that's what happening to them is, you know, shouldn't be happening. So they're not criminals. So we decriminalised them, but at the same time, we criminalised the buyer. And the idea was to stop this trade, to stop the customer base for this trade. So we criminalise the purchase of sex, and then we have lots of other legislation that obviously outlaws pimping, trafficking, etc. So yeah, we've been on a journey, and then in 2022 we had a new domestic sexual and gender-based violence strategy, and actually that strategy recognised prostitution as violence against women. It's not work. It's not, you know, we don't see it as something that's kind of normalised and sanitised as work. It's violence against women, and I think that's where we are today.
I can't recall anyone being prosecuted for availing of a sex worker services, for buying these services, to be honest with you. So is it common that they make the actual court? It
is not common. There have been a very small number of prosecutions. There have been quite a lot of charges, but they don't always result in prosecution. I think the sex buyers on this website talk to each other and they share information with each other about how to avoid or evade prosecution. They get a good lawyer. So the point of the law was not to, you know, throw sex buyers in prison and, you know, throw away the key. The point of the law was to deter them. But right now that law isn't really strong enough. It needs to be strengthened and it needs to be implemented better. And I think the guards probably need more resources in this area too.
It was decriminalised, prostitution was decriminalised. Would that make a difference for the better, do you think?
So we have examples around the world of where it's been fully decriminalised, all aspects, or it's been fully legalised. And the only thing that happens in those countries that have done that is the sex trade grows and grows. It's a carte blanche for sex buyers to go out and purchase more women. It's more sex buyers kind of come online.
And you still get the vulnerable women being trafficked anyway.
Yeah, so the trade grows, and with it, the trafficking and the number of vulnerable women grow. So actually, any country that's done it, it's been a disaster for them. So I think we are going down the right road here, but our laws, I think, just need a little bit of strengthening, and we really need to make sure that there's routes out for these women as well, and that they can reach the support services that they need.
Thank you so much for joining us on the show
problem.
today.
Thank you.
If you'd like to get any more information from the Sexual Exploitation Research and Policy Institute, head over to serp.ie for more details.
And if you've been affected by any of the issues raised today, you can find support at virginmediatelevision.ie/helplines.
Lots more still to come in IrelandAM. We'll see you after this short break. Good morning. It's coming up on 8 a.m. You're watching IrelandAM. We're beaming into your homes from beautiful Dublin. Thank you so much for joining us.
Still to come, former RTE correspondent and author Sinead Crowley announced a new adventure after 25 years at the state broadcaster. She'll be revealing all very soon.
I think you'll find it's Crowley, just like me.
Oh, beg your pardon.
There you go now. Plus, over on the catwalk, we show you how to layer your favourite fashion staples to get the most out of your autumn wardrobe.
Plus, she's worked on the hair of supermodels and Oscar winners alike. Celeb hairstylist Michael Douglas will be revealing the top trend for your tresses this autumn.
And she's usually working late because she's a singer. Michael will be sticking around to recreate the big bouncy curls of pop star Sabrina Carpenter.
Brooke, what else have we got coming up today?
Good morning. I'm out here on the patio preparing myself for a little sparring session. That's right, the High Five Boxing Academy is here. Paddy, tell me who's behind us, beside us?
We have the High Five Boxing Academy that's gone across the whole of Ireland at the moment, with conjunction with the IABA. This is some of the children from each club. We have Billy Kelly from Drummo Boxing Club, we have Tilly from Palmerstown, we have Andrew from Crumlin, we have Spencer from Green Hills Boxing Club, we have Sebastian from Crumlin Boxing Club, we have Nicola Hayden from Green Hills Boxing Club.
All the boxing clubs.
Yeah.
Guys, are you warm? Are you warming up? Everyone's probably going to school after this, is that right?
They are.
That's class.
Now let's have another look at your morning paper, starting with the Irish Times. It leads with Varadkar says rise in immigration too fast. The paper writes that when speaking to the University of Notre Dame's college newspaper, the former Taoiseach stressed that while a majority of people believe immigration had brought benefits to the country in recent years, people are also right to think that numbers have risen too quickly.
Front page of the Irish Independent opens with double child benefit, €250 energy credit, and all by Christmas. The paper writes that the energy credit and double child benefit payment have been agreed for inclusion in next week's budget bonanza as the coalition seek to front-load any bonus payments ahead of the looming election.
Over to the Irish Examiner, which goes with USC cut to boost low and middle earners. The paper writes that low and middle income earners are to benefit from a cut to the universal social charge from 4% to 3% as part of next week's budget, which would see hundreds of euro a year returned to their pay packets.
On to the tabloids now. The Irish Daily Mail reads OPW's late U-turn on €600,000 PR contract. The paper writes that a public relations contract worth €600,000 was pulled last night amid claims that the OPW is treating the public purse like monopoly money.
The Irish Daily Star also covers the OPW financial scandal with Hairbrained. The paper writes that the now pulled contract was set to hire communications specialists who would help manage the negative publicity amid the fallout of the recent bike shed and security hut controversies.
The Mirror also leads with the OPW U-turn. Their headline reads €600,000 backspin.
The front page of The Sun reads, Michaela, no justice. The paper writes that the last suspect in the Michaela McAreevy murder case has been cleared, shattering any hopes of justice for the 27-year-old who was killed on her honeymoon in 2011.
And finally, the Herald writes, carjack accused is charged with abducting baby. The paper writes that a Dublin man has been charged with hijacking a car and abducting a 5-month-old baby who was inside at the time. The vehicle was found around 2 hours later with the child unharmed.
Now, the Levi 501s have been named the most iconic fashion statement of all time. Did you know that?
I'm not surprised.
Well, last year they celebrated their 150th birthday, the jeans. I didn't realise, so it was actually in the movie that John Wayne wore them in the Western movie that brought them... Stagecoach. That brought them to the forefront.
Well, Levi's the original jeans.
I think they were, but
They were
others jumped ahead of them.
They were known as waist overalls before.
Yeah.
Waist overalls, because people had suspenders or braces before that.
Yeah, really cute.
But denim was workwear, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was workwear, and then it became kind of fashionable.
Now it's a staple. It's like a neutral.
But back in the 80s, Brooke actually asked, what are 501s? Yeah, she did.
To be fair, when I got this job, I had to buy a pair of jeans. I didn't even
have a pair.
In 1985, when the 501s launched their big ad campaign, like, Brooke was still in God's pocket, let's be honest. So it was...
I wasn't even thought about it.
Yeah. So when Nick Cayman walked into a laundrette and stripped down to his boxers...
Do. I've heard it through the grapevine, and every woman in the world went...
I remember in a nightclub one night, we played the song because Grapevine became a massive hit again, and we put the ad up on the screen. The women were like Velcro to the screen.
Yeah.
Zoom.
So do you have 501s now?
No, still not, no.
No Levi's?
No.
Yeah.
Someday I will have.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've got 501s in my wardrobe, yeah.
do you?
Yeah.
They last forever.
Don't look like Nick Cayman when I put them on, but there you go.
My favourite pair of jeans got shrunk by my Auntie Margaret. That was it. Then I lost my love, and then I got this job, and then I bought a pair of jeans.
So you only bought a pair of jeans for here?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I know.
I could only wear 4/6/8.
It was
4/6/8.
I couldn't fit into... My figure wasn't conducive to the snugness of the 501, shall we say.
Okay,
So,
okay.
Not
no,
inclusive.
built for comfort, not for speed. So I had to get the slightly more generously sized in the buttock area, the 4/6/8.
Okay.
Yay.
Well, there you go. Anyway.
4/6/8s are better anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, 501 came out on top.
Yeah. 501 was number one, and it was closely followed by the Ralph Lauren polo shirt, and then the Chanel little black dress, which everyone can afford. And then
I was about to say it.
this is a really good survey. They went to
if it's the Dunn's little black dress.
And then the Levi denim jacket was fourth, and then fifth was Converse All-Star trainers.
Oh, I had a Levi denim jacket as well.
Did you? You did.
It's double denim back.
Double denim.
Well, if it is, Bewitched will have another comeback. In fact, well, they are back, aren't they?
Does it ever go out in fashion, double denim? Yes. You wear it? No. Always.
Oh, God, there was decades where double denim was a no-no.
Oh, a faux pas.
A faux pas, a huge faux pas.
Anyway, do you remember your 501 ads? Do you remember your 501s? In fact, 501 became the parlance.
Who was your man in the bath?
Oh, I can't remember now.
Another fella had an ad and he was in the bath.
Yeah, yeah.
His jeans,
I just remember
because in the olden days, because there was no such thing as lycra in them, you had to sit in the bath in hot water to shrink them to your
I
figure.
can't remember
to
who
make
was in
them
the
up into
bath,
your
but
size.
I do remember that Wonderful World Sam Cooke was the song, and it became a hit again. Anyway, you may have memories of those 501s yourself. Share them with us. 089 611 111 is how you get in touch. Up next, broadcaster and author Sinead Crowley joins us in just a few minutes. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back. You may recognise our next guest from her time on telly as RTE's arts and media correspondent, but she's also an acclaimed crime novelist.
Joining us now to talk about her newest book, A Maid on Fifth Avenue, is author Sinead Crowley. Sinead, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. And we need to clarify this. It is Crowley.
It is Crowley.
And I'm
so
Crowley.
delighted
And you're
to
not
hear
sisters.
Yeah, but the amount
we
of
know.
times we've been, I've been asked that and you've been asked that as well, it's absolutely gas, isn't it?
The Crowley is the unusual, slightly more unusual pronunciation, I think.
Yeah,
So
and
that
it
could be
really
that,
annoys me
yeah.
when people call me Crowley. I know it's a little thing, but there you go. Anyway, I digress. You've had, I wouldn't say quite the career switch up, because you were writing for quite a long time before you decided to flit off from RTE. So tell us what made you to make the final decision to do that.
Well, I was with RTE for 26 years, 24 of them in the newsroom, which was incredible. It was a wonderful life, and I really met the most amazing people and did incredible things, but at the same time, it was time for a change. I think news, as you know, is relentless. You know, television can be great crack. News, in terms of breaking news and, you know, the phone always being on, is very tiring. And I turned 50 last year. So when I was 49, the chance of another job came up and I decided it's kind of now or never, you know. So I wouldn't have left RTE for just anything, but I did go to another job. I work for Commissioner Man now, as well as writing. So a couple of things came together. A different job, the turning 50, just, you know what, it's time to maybe see, is there one other road out there?
The stars aligned.
Exactly.
Oh, OK, but you weren't just dipping your toe into this water. As Elaine said, you'd been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
All your books have been bestsellers. Yeah, so...
I have, thankfully.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And that will continue with this.
Yeah.
Tell us about A Maid in Fifth Avenue.
Fifth Avenue, yeah. That one has been kind of floating around in my head for a long time. My grandmother was actually a maid on Fifth Avenue. A little bit before this book is set, she would have gone over in the 1910s. And she worked in New York, but she came back. And that was the part of the story that always fascinated me, because we all know about Irish people who emigrate, and, you know, often it's quite a sad story when people emigrate. But I had this idea, imagine if you went and you really enjoyed it, but you had to come back.
Yeah.
So I don't, unfortunately, know a huge amount about my grandmother's story, and this isn't her story, because I do write mystery novels.
Thank God.
Yeah, exactly, just to clarify that. But just that idea of leaving rural Ireland, you know, at a time like no electricity, you know, and imagine heading to New York in the 1910s, the 1920s, and all of the glamour that was there, and then returning. So I decided to write a book about a woman who wanted to go and is quite happy to leave, has that sense of adventure, but ends up coming back. And that's the mystery. Why does she come back? So the book opens in West Kerry, and it opens in 2022 when there's a storm and some bones are discovered at the roots of a tree, of a fairy tree. And so that's the very first chapter. I'm not giving anything away there. And then over the rest of the book, you find out why they're there and who owns them. And the book is about two women. There's Annie, who leaves West Kerry in 1924 to go to New York and comes back. And then in 2022, just post-COVID, a woman called Emer, who has been working in LA in the film business, is kind of burnt out by COVID and burnt out by staring into a screen and wants to come back home for a bit. She goes back to West Kerry and discovers more about the history of the village.
Now, the timelines on this are fascinating, because they've done this before, the kind of dual timelines. You're dipping deep into the past and there's a story in the present. What attracts you about that sort of thing?
It's very complicated.
It is, that's what I'm thinking.
Halfway through I regret it. Why can't I just write something set yesterday? But it really lends itself to the mystery genre, you know. What's lovely about the dual timeline is starting off with the mystery and then unfolding it for the reader. And I also love the idea of the two timelines intersecting. So there's a tree in this book, the fairy tree, the hawthorn tree, and it's the same tree That's what I love about that tree. It lasts for over 100 years. So there's a tree in the 1920s that Annie is looking at as she's about to sail off to America. And then the tree is there in 2022 when Emer is getting used to being in the village. So I love that connection, connects the two women, but at the same time you see their completely different lives and what connects them.
OK. But the commonality is that they've both come back from America. Anyway, you've mentioned COVID a couple of times in that description because COVID, we saw a different you during COVID because arts and media had to take a back seat because there was very little going on and you were a regular face. Did your time covering COVID kind of hurry this decision as well for you to start this new adventure, as you call it? I
hadn't thought of it like that, but actually it did bring a different dimension to my reporting, I suppose, and it did have me cover an entirely different story, which was very interesting at the time. But really the effect COVID had on this book was, I wrote it during COVID, first of all. So just in 2022 when we were coming out of it. So just that sense of the world opening up and not being changed, being slightly the same but also changed. And that's what I wanted to explore. The book is also set in a tourist area in West Kerry, and we actually took our family holiday down in West Kerry. You know, when we couldn't leave the country, we went down to beautiful West Kerry and actually had just as good a time, by the way. But that sense of, do you remember when the restaurants were opening, but yet you were sitting apart from people and the waiters had masks and all those rules about you could take your mask off to eat or you couldn't or whatever. So that was all floating around in my mind when I wrote the book. So actually, yes, I was doing something different in work, but actually it was more that summer of 2020-21 that kind of inspired this book because we were travelling and exploring our own country, I suppose, in a completely different way. And we did actually go, the family did go to West Kerry.
I suppose it did fundamentally change everybody, whether we like to admit it or not, or even know it or not. So it does kind of shifts your mindset. And of course, news can be harrowing, as you said, and relentless. I know myself from doing it for years. So the kind of gear change is nice. Do you have more time for your writing now, or more headspace and freedom for your writing?
I hope so. The thing about a book coming out is it takes your headspace into a completely different place. So I'm not writing a book at the moment because when a book comes out, you have to actually remember what you wrote it 2 years ago. So first of all, you remember what it's about. And then you do lovely interviews like this and you do publicity. So your head is in that space. But I do have a plan for another one. And yeah, my new job at the moment is a lot more 9 to 5 than news used to be. So I certainly do hope to go back to it yet. But I'm also spending a lot of time in the evenings, to be honest with you, driving children to matches and races and things. So I'm really enjoying that too. I do a lot of my writing at the side of football pitches and running tracks, and I don't think that's going to change.
You're supposed to be watching the game, if you don't mind me saying.
The training. I watch it on the actual game.
On training nights.
I'm not quite so dedicated to watch the training as well. I found a picture on social media the other day, which was actually really lovely, of my laptop propped up against the car, against the steering wheel, which was writing that book. And that was really nice. Sometimes Facebook memories are a nice thing because to go from sitting in the car park with the rain, as some poor child was being rained on while he was training, and then to see the book, that was actually really special.
What do they say? If you need a job done, give it to a busy woman. And my God, there's nothing like a busy mammy really coming and toing and froing in matches and school and runs and God knows what else. Now, most of us, well, have dreamed of writing a book. I wrote a paragraph about 5 years ago, and that's as far as I've gotten on mine. What advice would you give to aspiring authors that are just afraid maybe to take that first step?
Well, you kind of put your finger on it there. Don't think of writing the big book. Don't think of the 100,000 words. Think of the 500 words. Like if you write 500 words a day, you will get there. So it's far too daunting. It's just like a marathon. You don't go out and run the 26 or whatever miles. You go and you start with your couch to 5K. So the couch to 5K of writing a book is just 500 words a day. Yeah. But for me, I do have to write the 500 new words. Even if I've edited yesterday's, I do have to write 500 new words. And I think that's the journalist in me. I want to see the word count go up every day. So even
the target, the deadline that you set yourself.
Yeah, even if I've edited lots, I actually can't finish until I've done something new. So I do a little bit of editing every day and then the 500 new words. But don't get too daunted about this massive book. And the other thing is most people falter at 30,000, actually. Most authors I know. Yeah, you get to 30,000 and at that stage you're kind of committed and the excitement is gone and the adrenaline of starting and you realise, oh Lord, I've got, 70,000 left. So don't worry if you get to 30,000 and you think it's awful. Push on through.
OK, can I just ask you very quickly, after the first 3 books, is Claire Boyle, is she gone, or could she make a comeback?
She's still here, so I love her very much. So she was the detective in my first 3 novels. I think what I'll end up doing is the next book will probably be more crime focused than this one, and she may be the detective in it. She may not be the main character, but it'll be like the Claire-verse, and she will pop up because I'm too fond of her to let her go completely.
I'm delighted.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah. Reminder to you that Sinead's book, A Maid on Fifth Avenue, is available now online and in all good bookshops nationwide. Good to see you.
Actually, we should do one of those DNA tests. Maybe we are related somehow with the Crowleys. It has to be anyway. After the break.
There's a challenge, yes.
We'll be showing you how you can layer your autumn favourites to get the most out of your wardrobe this chilly season. Do stay with us. We all love our cosy knits this time of year, but it can be hard to know how to piece our favourite items together to create that perfect autumnal look.
Here to show us how to get the most out of our wardrobe this season is stylist Emma Murray.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
How are you? So this morning we are going to be talking all things autumn styling, and I don't know about the two of you, but it's definitely my favourite time of the year in terms of clothing.
I'm frozen.
Really? But everything's
Visually.
so cosy.
Visually, I like it.
Yeah, everything's so cosy, and obviously that will tie in with what we're covering this morning, which is autumn layering. And the thing with autumn layering is that it doesn't mean you have to be wearing 2 pairs of gloves and 2 scarves and 2 coats all at the one time. So it's making sure that obviously you're dressing for your body shape and that you're comfortable as well without maybe being claustrophobic, because not everybody is going, you know, maybe to want to wear so many layers. So what we've done this morning is incorporate a couple of different pieces that maybe can mix and match, and you've got the lighter to the more kind of heavy duty pieces as well.
Here's your Miko.
Yeah, so this morning we are going to start off with combining layering and then adding your pop of colour as well, because the autumn colours necessarily won't be for everybody, and you might prefer, if you're like me, a bit of colour and you kind of aren't ready to let that go just yet. It's brilliant.
Barbie core is not going anywhere.
Definitely not. It is so striking. It really is. And it's going to suit so many different skin shades and so many different pieces that obviously you can layer underneath with it as well. But for me, I love the contrasting black buttons. I think that really just makes it a standout piece.
Makes it quite dressy, doesn't it?
Isn't it? It's lovely. So we have it styled kind of casually here now today, but again, you definitely could dress it up even for dinner if you wanted to. So it definitely is that versatile piece. And then underneath then, obviously, we have, which is a staple in everybody's wardrobe, the neutral coloured cable knit. Now, this isn't too heavy. You always want to, with your coats, leave a little bit of room underneath for layering because you're obviously, especially in Ireland, you're going to need the layers that are underneath. But something like this, it's neutral and it's going to match pretty much
It
everything.
looks like a cotton knit as well, so it's not the kind of scratchiness of wool.
Exactly.
I was going to say that's my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah, there is
itchy
nothing
knits.
worse. There is nothing worse. And then straight leg jeans are making a comeback. I hear time and time again that women are trying to move out of their skinny jeans and go for something that little bit different. And the indigo colour is lovely because it's a little bit dressier. You can wear them casually, or again, if you wanted to add a heel, obviously you could as well. Now, we've it styled with the trainers today, just a nice, simple white and gold trainer that is going to match your midi skirts, your dresses, your jeans, your trousers, and these are a lightweight and a cushioned sole as well, which means comfort, which is obviously what we're all looking for, most definitely.
Now we're going more traditional autumnal colours here.
Yes, so khaki green is the colour of the season, or one of the colours of the season, and I think if you love wearing black, then this could be a nice way to kind of edge yourself into something with a little bit more colour. It's a nice length as well, and I think for workwear, it could be a lovely option as well. So you have just the 2 pocket detail there on the front, and then obviously the 2 buttons. And whether you are petite or whether you are that little bit taller, it's going to be one of those coats that's going to suit pretty much every body shape as well. And florals obviously aren't just for summer, so there's such a beautiful variation of colours that are running through this. And then you have the little tie waist as well, which kind of makes it that little bit more comfortable, and especially if you're concerned about the lower tummy area, it's just going to skim over that part as
and
well.
it cinches in at the most narrow part.
Exactly, the narrow part, yeah, of the body. And then to tie in, obviously, the green, we have the beautiful green toned handbag, kind of just with the pops of cream then to bring it all together. Jeans, again, we've stuck with a straight leg style for this. A black jean, you're obviously never going to go wrong with it because it's going to be a staple in everybody's wardrobe. And then the heels as well.
I love these.
Aren't they fab? They are so nice. I think it's the heel detail at the back that nearly makes it.
And velvet?
Yeah.
Oh,
They're like
wow.
a suede, kind of like a velvet style. And they are just that little bit dressier. So even if you are looking for something, like I said, for workwear, and you still want that comfort, but a heel, the block heel is going to obviously be your winner. And again, you'll have them then for more dressier occasions, obviously then, and the beautiful autumnal green colour as well, which is perfect for the season that we're in.
That's
Thank
absolutely
you,
lovely.
Denise.
I love that khaki green colour. I've loads in my wardrobe. I'm delighted. It's the colour of the season. Hooray.
Everybody seems to love the khaki green, and it's so easy to wear as well.
So Michelle.
Yes, so this is Michelle. So layering doesn't have to mean wearing your big heavy coats because, like I said, not everybody is necessarily going to be comfortable wearing that many layers. Now we just have a simple sort of pearl and silver earring here to tie all of the colours together. Again, a nice little earring that's a little bit more dressier, and it's going to tie the look together, and you'll have them obviously for years as well. And if you are somebody that maybe wears a leather jacket all of the time, a suede biker jacket is a lovely alternative. And it's a great colour too because it's going to be quite versatile in your wardrobe, and it's going to match obviously
And
quite
it's not
a lot.
that bright white as well, the kind of stone colour.
Exactly. It's just an off-white. And with a dress like this, you do want your jacket, if it's shorter, just to be sitting on the waist. And then if it's a longer style coat, obviously that it's the same length as the dress, just so that everything is in proportion. But
That's very large houndstooth dress.
Yeah, it's
very large.
It's very striking. Yeah. So I would say it's definitely if you don't necessarily like patterns, then it might feel a wee bit kind of OTT for you, but I just think with the colours running through it, and especially for the autumnal season that we're in with the mixtures of the browns and the sands and the cobalt blues.
We're talking it's boot season now.
Boots,
Oh, yeah.
yes, definitely. You
on.
definitely won't be getting away from the boots. So these are a really glamorous, sophisticated style. They are very comfortable and they have a leather insole as well. So they're going to be quite easy to get on and off with the soft lining, which is obviously important.
Love the gold
as well.
details on it as well.
Beautiful.
Really
Just makes it
dressy.
that little bit more dressier as well, and kind of completes the look.
Yumiko is back. Wow.
And Yumiko is back. Yeah, so this is the
fab.
this is the ultimate look in layering, and I just think the belt as well with the cape really ties it together. Obviously, you don't have to wear the belt if you don't want to, but capes like that can feel a little bit oversized, so the belt kind of ties it together, and there's a lovely gold button detail up at the top as well, which I think gives it that really luxurious feel to it as well.
The belt goes through the arms.
It does.
So cool.
Yeah, it does. So obviously, again, you could wear a little top even underneath it if you wanted to, like a black cami, but you don't necessarily need to. And even just with the flowy sleeves, and it's just such an elegant piece that you will be able to transition every autumn, winter. And then the bag, obviously, it's like a monochrome style, just to tie all of the colours together. Again, it's one of those classic pieces, never dates, and even with the colours in it, it's going to match pretty much everything in your wardrobe. And then the gloves as well, just as a little finisher, they're cosy staples that we all need most definitely in Ireland. And if you don't necessarily want to have that furry or that fluffy kind of a feel, that leather kind of style is lovely because it's a bit
What
dressier.
fabric is this skirt?
It's a snake print.
I know it's a print, but is it
pleather?
It's a pleather. Yes, pleather.
Yeah.
So it's a pleather snake print, and because it's a midi style, obviously we have it paired with the boots. But again, it's one of those dressy, flowy pieces that I think just is such a beautiful combination with the cape, just to tie it all together.
Colours are beautiful.
Aren't they? Yeah, really, really nice. And then the boots, obviously, as well. So really eye-catching heel with this. And again, very comfortable, very flattering. And you will never go wrong with a black boot, especially with that little bit of gold at the back, because you'll normally be wearing black and gold normally together anyway. And it's just
It dresses things up that little bit.
Definitely. And it's effortlessly stylish. So you're not necessarily having to put too much thought or too much effort into it. You want pieces that you can just pick in your wardrobe and you're ready and you're dressed, and there's not too much effort that has to be put in. So
Very lovely. We'll be layering up in our cozies now tomorrow.
Yeah.
I know. As cozy as possible. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us this morning. Now, up next, we discover how one man is on a mission to break down barriers and help empower children.
We'll be back with an all-ages boxing lesson out in the garden. So I have about 3 minutes to get out there into the warm. Wish me luck.
Get some layers, you'll be fine.
made it.
Yeah,
Welcome
good run.
back.
Good run, Shedder runners on.
A warm night, the sun is shining. Now, while sports classes help kids socialise, exercise and let off steam, it's not always easy for children with additional needs to find the right fit.
And that's where High Five Boxing Academy comes in. Here to tell us more is the founder himself, Paddy Dingle. Good to see you, Paddy.
Good
to see you.
morning.
So
Thank
come on,
you.
the High Five Academy.
Yeah, how the High Five Academy started was back in 2020. I met a lady called Patricia Ryan, and she's part of a group in Drimma called Dynamic Drimma,
Yeah.
and that's to try and get infrastructure and facilities in Drimma. And I was boxing at the time, coaching in Drimma Boxing Club. Then I became an international coach at schoolboy level, and I stopped doing the boxing for a while. And she said to me, "There's an additional needs programme coming up with Sports Ireland. Would I be interested in doing it?" And I says, "OK, I'll give it a go." So over 7 weeks, I've done the programme with Sports Ireland. So then after the programme finished, she said to me, "What are you going to do with this programme?" So I says, "OK, I'll go to my local club where I started boxing when I was 12 with Michael Carruth." And I asked him, could I set up a programme as a pilot scheme in his club? Michael said he'd talk to the committee and come back to me. So in the meantime, I talked to my old coach in Drimma Boxing Club, Phil Sutcliffe.
Yeah.
And he's in Crumlin Boxing Club, and he said, "You can start it tomorrow." So then the next day, Michael rang me and says, "Yes, of course you can start in Drimma Boxing Club." So we started off as a pilot scheme. We invited the Lord Mayor of Dublin at the time to the launch of the High Five, and that launched on October 2020. And all the children, all the families came, sort of like an open day, and we started off that day. So then the next plan to that was, I had a bigger vision to try and turn it into the programme to turn out in every boxing club in the country. So I approached the IABA because I was involved with the IABA with the Irish team, and I gave them my plans to some of the Central Council people, and they backed me. So what happened then was, now this programme has taken off. The IABA have control of the programme through the help of Ciara Plunkett. She was the inclusion officer at the time, and out of that programme came, we were in the Dáil in 2020, and 5.7 million came out of a dormant fund from the government to all additional needs sports in Ireland.
So it's across the country now.
Wow.
Well, it's beginning to grow across the country. It's up in Belfast, St Paul's, it's in Tralee Boxing Club, it's in Clonleath in Dundalk, it's in where else is it? It's in Galway.
It's across the country.
it's grown legs.
spreading.
It's spreading. The
Because
word, yeah.
sport should be for everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely for everybody.
And Paddy, I guess you said that you lost interest. I wouldn't say you lost the love of boxing, but
No, but
starting this up has been inspiring for you.
But this has part of my life now. See, what happened was, how High Five got created was, the name of it was, I was watching the Paralympics in 2020 in Tokyo, and what happened was, I seen the contestants coming out and giving high fives, and that's how the name just came into my head. So it's just after just going all that, step by step.
It's a great name.
Yeah.
It is a great
Thank
name.
you.
What does this do for the kids?
What this does for the children is, across the whole spectre of all the clubs, is all the teachers do tell us, the feedback from the parents is that their motor skills are a lot better, because we have all different spectres in additional needs. So we could have children with earphones who have certain specialties. We could have sensories. So what happened was, what's happening with people is we're having, like, say, sleeping patterns are better, behavioural patterns are better. It's giving the parents a break.
Yeah.
They see it in school, the teachers, they're saying, like, the child has totally changed. They're listening more, the coordination is better, and that's what's coming from this programme.
Okay, we're talking about children who have who are on the spectrum. They might have dyspraxia. There's a whole load of different.
Yeah, and what we done for the first ever in boxing was, we had a room in Drimma Boxing Club and we turned it into a sensory room. So what happens is, so some of the children come on the morning of the training, they say they didn't want to take part, they could go into the sensory room, and that would have lights and have little balls and teddy bears and things like that, and that pieces files everybody down.
Yeah.
I'm going to come over and meet some of the athletes
Absolutely.
now. Hello, everyone. What's your name?
I'm Andrew.
Hi, Andrew. And do you like boxing? The answer
I
is
do.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Well,
You want to show me
Friday
something,
morning, it's a bit
Andrew?
difficult,
The
isn't it,
answer
Andrew?
is definitely yes.
Oh, good. Andrew, would you like to show me some moves?
Okay, so I will show you Superman.
Superman?
Yeah, you
Wow.
just fly on the ground and do like this.
Oh
like
my-
you're floating in the sky.
I wouldn't know the difference between you and Superman.
Yeah.
Well done.
That's cool, Andrew.
Well done. Now, that's Superman over here.
Good
What was
man.
your name?
Spencer.
Spencer, it's nice to meet you. Can you do the Superman as well?
He'd rather do boxing, I
You
say.
like to do
box.
boxing instead?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Well done. Guys, what's your names?
Tilly and Billy.
Tilly and Billy. Is there some rivalry over here? Do you love the boxing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think me and Martin could learn and be good at it?
Yeah.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
How would you teach us?
Practice.
Practice. There you go,
It's all
Martin.
about the practice. Sounds like the gauntlet's just been thrown down.
I think we are going to learn some
I think we
moves.
are going to learn. And who's back here?
That's Sebastian. That's Nicola Hayden, the head coach in Green Hills Boxing Club.
Hi, Sebastian.
Hi.
How are you doing this morning?
Good.
Are you going to get some boxing in before you go to school?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're all excited to go back to
Okay,
school over here.
so Paddy, you're going to give us a lesson.
Okay, yeah, of course I will.
Andrew's doing Superman again.
Andrew.
I would imagine as well, Paddy, that for the kids, it's brilliant for their focus.
It's great for focus, but also it's great for meeting friends.
Yeah,
New
for
friends.
socialising.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and as I said, they're bringing it into the skills. So what's happening is when
Not just one.
One each.
One each. No, there's another set there.
Hang on.
Go on.
Hang on.
when they go to the skills mountains, what's happening is they're interacting with other children, and they're getting more children to get involved. You know.
Yeah. Which is.
Did you ever put the gloves on before, man?
It's been a while. Getting Michael Carruth involved is brilliant too. To have an
I'll
Olympic
explain
gold
it, but-
medalist involved is...
Oh well, Michael's
brilliant for
I'm with
for
Michael
that.
since 12 years of age in the same club.
Really?
And Michael's been great. Phil Sutton's been great. All the coaches across the country, everybody in the high five, and everybody takes part, from the sponsorship, from the coaches to the supporters to the parents. It's all about the children, and that's what it's all about. So I'll show you a bit of a demonstration.
Okay.
First of all, we have to get our boxing stance, Andrew. Okay.
We have to get
boxing
boxing.
stance. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
You ready,
So what we
Andrew?
do is, when we're getting our boxing stance, we stand here straight like this.
Yeah.
We put the foot forward. We bend our
foot
knee.
forward.
Bend
Yeah.
our knee. Okay. So then we put the arms in. You go again.
Yeah.
We put the arms in and we turn to the side.
Yeah.
Okay. So turn a little bit in like that. Yeah. There you go. Okay.
We need to wrap, but I feel like I could really good at this.
So now we're going to block a punch, okay?
Oh, good
So how you
grief,
block
no.
a punch is you throw that at me,
Right.
I'll just catch it like this, okay?
All right, so I'm going to throw this at
Catch
you.
it.
You're going to catch it.
Boom.
Yeah.
Catch
And you're
it.
going to throw
Boom.
one at me.
That's all you do. Catch. So I'm going to
I'm
throw
gonna
at you
catch
now.
it.
I want
Here
you
we
to catch.
go. Now, we do
All right.
have to wrap, unfortunately. Now, to join Paddy and become a part of this community, look up High Five Boxing Academy on Facebook for more details.
Still to come, how to create the big bouncy curls of pop star Sabrina Carpenter. I won't be able to do it with the gloves on. Good on, Andy! Go for it, Superman! Stay with us. Oh, it's so nice to be back in the warmth. There you are again. We are watching the last hour of Friday's IrelandAM. Thanks for staying with us. We've loads more on the way.
Still to come, he's tamed the tresses of everyone from Kate Moss to Gwyneth Paltrow to his own Mrs. Davina McCall. Celebrity hairstylist Michael Douglas will be stopping by with all you need to know about managing your hair this autumn.
And Michael will be sticking around to show us how to recreate the big bouncy signature curls of Sabrina Carpenter. A double shot of espresso might be needed.
Yeah.
Or not needed for this. See what we did there?
Now, Brooke, what's happening over in the kitchen?
Good morning. We are going a bit fancy today with a recipe for a special occasion at home. Tommy Butler is in charge of the kitchen.
We're going quackers today.
I guess
It's too early on a Friday for that, I know. We're going to go duck leg today, and we're going to do a little bit of spicy or braised cabbage. I'm going to do a little bit of pink peppercorn and orange jus for that as well.
This is very fancy. All of these ingredients, they're
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah, we're going to step it up a bit today.
Impressed,
Step
very
up a bit.
impressed. How does that sound to you two?
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Star
Star.
anise.
Starting.
Everything's in here.
See, it's nearly lunchtime for us because we get up so early in the day.
I know.
So it's nearly our
Yeah.
lunchtime. Did you know today is National Compliment Day?
It's always National Something Day, so National Compliment Day.
But it's National Compliment Day.
Okay.
Because apparently 30% of Ireland's young people haven't received a single compliment in the last month.
That's terrible.
It is terrible. It also means 70% have, which is good, but 30% haven't. So we need to bring that down to 0.
Yeah.
We need to be telling young people just how well they're doing, not bigging them up for no reason, but, you know, and say, oh, you look great today.
If
That's
you
all
see
it
something
takes.
nice, or if someone looks nice, if they've done something nice, or they've done something to cheer you up, I think say it straight
Acknowledge it.
away. Because there's nothing like a smile.
Yeah, Jigsaw are the people behind this. It's the second National Compliment Day, and it's an annual fundraising event dedicated to using the power of compliments for, like you said, action so that no young person in Ireland feels alone, fearful or forgotten. So, yeah. If you want to get involved in this, please do.
I stop people on the street and I'm like, your outfit is unreal. I'm so bad for it. I do it every day.
But that's not a bad thing. Why are you saying bad? It's fabulous.
No, but people might not want me to do it.
Who's that weirdo?
No, I would. I'd be like, what's that smell? I need to know what you're wearing.
I'm the same. I can't stop either. I met a woman the other night. She had beautiful curly hair. Do you know the natural curly? Kind of like... I was like, oh my God, your hair is fabulous. And I didn't touch it, don't worry, I'm not that strange. But I mean, but sometimes
But
people
it
do
will
look
lift
at you.
somebody's day or night or mood, and you never know. You could take them from feeling really low to feeling $1 million. So, compliment. It's National Compliment Day.
Doesn't cost a thing.
Absolutely. Let us know your thoughts on it at 0896 111.
Let's have a final check now on your morning paper, starting with the Irish Times. It leads with Varadkar says, rise in immigration too fast. The paper writes that when speaking to the University of Notre Dame's College newspaper, the former Taoiseach stressed that while a majority of people believe immigration had brought benefits to the country in recent years, people are also right to think that numbers have risen quickly too.
Front page of the Irish Independent opens with double child benefit, €250 energy credit by Christmas. The paper writes that the energy credit and double child benefit payment have been agreed for inclusion in next week's budget bonanza as the coalition seek to front-load any bonus payments ahead of the looming election.
Over to the Irish Examiner, which goes with USC cut to boost low and middle earners. The paper writes that low and middle income earners are to benefit from a cut to the universal social charge from 4% to 3% as part of next week's budget, which would see hundreds of euro a year returned to their pay packets.
On to the tabloids now, and the Irish Daily Mail reads OPW's late U-turn on €600,000 PR contract. The paper writes that a public relations contract worth €600,000 was pulled last night amid claims that the OPW is treating the public purse like monopoly money.
The Irish Daily Star also covers the OPW financial scandal with Hairbrained. The paper writes that the now pulled contract was set to hire communications specialists who would help manage the negative publicity amid the fallout of the recent bike shed and security health controversies.
The Mirror also leads with the OPW U-turn. Their headline reads €600,000 backspin.
And the front page of The Sun reads, Michaela, no justice. The paper writes that the last suspect in the Michaela McAreavey murder case has been cleared, shattering any hopes of justice for the 27-year-old who was killed on her honeymoon in 2011.
And finally, the Herald writes, carjack accused is charged with abducting baby. The paper writes that a Dublin man has been charged with hijacking a car and abducting a 5-month-old baby who was inside at the time. The vehicle was found around 2 hours later with the child unharmed.
After the break, how to manage your hair this autumn. Celebrity hairstylist Michael Douglas joins us after the break with all you need to know. You're very welcome back to the show. Our next guest is a hairstylist to the stars, having worked with the likes of Kate Moss, Gwyneth Paltrow and even Claudia Schiffer.
I'm glad you mentioned hairstylist, Elaine, because he also shares a name with another famous face, another Michael Douglas who was eating birthday cake yesterday. Good morning to you, Michael, if you're watching, and a belated happy birthday. Anyway, this Michael Douglas is more than welcome.
Thank you.
Who needs the Hollywood one? We have you.
Yeah, we don't need...
Somebody told me he's in town.
He is,
in Dublin right now.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, you have to find him and get a selfie.
Michael.
I'm not happy about this. There's only one Michael Douglas.
It is
and
right.
this is it. Yes.
It is right. So listen, back in the 80s, you picked up a Clippers.
I did, yes.
Why?
Yes. Do you know what? A friend of mine had some at school and he sold me them for £5, stole some money off my mum, and I started cutting my mate's hair at school. Now, you remember the wedge. You're old enough to remember the wedge.
Yeah.
Everybody got a wedge because I didn't know how to get rid of it. And then I just fell in love with it. But I think it was to do with the connection, the human connection, and it was to do with people, really.
OK, before we go any further, you did give your mother back her €5 or £5, did you?
And she's got more than €5
I'm sure
back
she's been
off
well...
me, but let me tell you,
Well
Every time I see her, she goes,
now.
you doing my hair today? I think, just come say hello.
OK, so that £5 was paid back.
Yes.
That's all right.
Yes.
But the Clippers, you weren't cutting people's hair for nothing.
No, they were buying me sweets, stuff like that back in those days.
I've heard of worse side hustles, really, to be honest.
Yes,
and
it
it's
was.
worked out quite well for you.
It worked out very well, yeah. I don't know if you remember Ed the Duck. There was a little puppet called Ed the Duck that was on BBC TV. And he had like a little Mohican in the middle. That was my signature hairstyle. Everyone could get that back in
No
the day.
way.
Yes.
You've evolved a little since then now, thank God. Look, I am so jealous because when I think of the peak glamour of in my lifetime anyway, it's the supermodels. And you were there for the Kate Mosses, the Claudia Schiffers. I mean, what was it like working with such iconic personalities?
It was very nerve-wracking because I was quite young. I was probably only in my early to mid-20s then. So, having Kate Moss or Yasmin Le Bon or Claudia Schiffer sat in the chair or Naomi Campbell.
Oh, that sounds terrifying.
It was quite terrifying. I always think, had I had an Instagram account in the 90s, I would have millions of followers because we did some amazing things. A lot of freedom back then as well, of course, because nobody was taking pictures of anything.
You wouldn't get away with it now.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on back there. So, yeah, the fashion shows, London, New York, Paris, Milan, did them all. And it was brilliant. And a lot of those girls, you really felt like you were in the presence of specialty, where there is no such thing as a supermodel really anymore,
Yeah.
There's super influencers and there's super celebrities, but the model
It's gone.
They toured as a team.
They really did, yeah.
Wherever they went.
Linda Evangelista and Helena Christensen and all
The
the
George
rest
Michael video, of course, they were all in that.
So good that, isn't it? Yeah.
They were all in that. But whatever about touring with them, initially, your hands must have been like that.
Yes, they were. And what you'd often find is there'd be like 15 photographers all around the model just trying to get a snap.
Yeah.
And you were trying to do their hair and you were always trying to do something quite obscure. Like I remember spraying black spray paint in someone's hair because this was what the designer wanted,
Right.
The model really hated me doing this, so she was angry, I was nervous, everybody's taking pictures, you're thinking, oh my God, get me out of here, So you were often doing things you didn't want to do, which is very contrary to being a hairdresser because you're always doing what the client wants, you know? So the fashion shows can be pretty intense,
Yeah, I can well imagine.
But whatever about fashion shows, that's high pressure enough. But doing your other half's hair, I'd say, has a bit of pressure.
That's a dream.
Is it as well?
Yeah,
Isn't that lovely?
People always say, who's the best celebrity you worked with? It's like, well, my girlfriend, obviously,
Like yourself and Davina, I mean, you knew each other a long time. I think it's such a romantic story.
Yeah, it's a romantic story. It's absolutely mad, yeah. And she won that award at the National Television Awards the other day.
Yeah.
I was so happy for her. It was like I'd won an award. There's a word floating around, don't you know this word, compersion? Compersion means you're happy for other people's happiness.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of compersion going on there,
Right.
where
I've
it's
never
good for her,
heard
it's
that
good
word.
for
That's
me.
fabulous.
Yeah.
It's a great word.
Look at her. She's so delighted.
This was the
and
NTAs,
well deserved.
okay? And boy, has she earned that award.
Yes.
You had to keep that quiet, though.
I did, yeah. I had to keep
For
it
how
back
long?
like 2.5 months.
2.5 months?
Yeah, because there was this idea that her daughter was going to come over from Australia and present her with the award, and that would be a massive surprise, But her daughter had already been over for the summer, so we got rid of that idea and had to find somebody else. And we're like, who are we going to get her to present it? Who does she love? And she loves Hannah Waddingham. They've become really good friends.
I love Hannah Waddingham as well.
So because I didn't know who was presenting it either, when Hannah walked out, I was like, oh, this is the moment. So I've got my phone out and I'm filming like this, to get a reaction, And it was absolutely brilliant.
How long did it take to do your own hair that night? I presume you did it yourself.
You can see
You've
it
got
took-
the boof is lovely.
Yeah, it took me about 2 seconds, My own hair comes last all the time. Everybody else's hair comes last.
Yeah. Someone gave me a good tip, actually. If you ever walk into a hairdresser's and you don't know which person to get the one with the least done hair, because they're probably the best.
Yes, exactly.
And spend most time on you,
Yeah, they are the
But it's like choosing a dentist with bad teeth. You don't want to do that.
No, don't want to do that.
But the fact that you guys were friends, is that what makes the relationship all the better?
I think so, yes. I mean, we know each other very well, and, there's a very kind of open honesty about everything, So it's a very, very easy relationship. A lot of people say, oh, is it hard work or is it difficult? No, it's just unbelievably easy.
If you were a hairdresser for years before you started dating, you know where all the bodies are buried. So, I mean, you have to understand, a woman and her hairdresser, it's a sacred bond.
But a guy and a hairdresser as well.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
It's the same.
I thought you don't talk, you just clip away.
He's a therapist as well.
You're absolutely right. I've often thought once I put the scissors down, I may well pick up the therapy tools.
And how do you keep a secret if you're usually such a chatty person like that? How did you manage not to blurt it out?
Well, it's just kind of honour and respect, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you respect people, and I only really do people's hair that I like, that there's a natural chemistry with. that I actually really like being confident, a confidant for them. You know, it's something really nice and a great privilege, you know.
Going back to the NTAs, can I ask you, what was the conversation like when you got home and she discovered you'd known about this for 2.5 months?
Yeah, she was just... It was kind of weird because obviously there are no secrets. You know, we're very, very open with each other. But I said, look, I'm really sorry, but I really wanted to keep this one from you. You know, she'd been a presenter for nearly 30 years, never won a presenting award, ever. Which is outrageous when you think of all the people who have won, right? I'm always like, what is going on? Not even a nomination. So this year when they said, oh, look, it's a special recognition award, I was like, yeah, well, about time, really, you know.
That's the one to get.
Yeah, and I really wanted it to be really special for her because she really deserved it, you know.
Why are you in Ireland at the moment? Because we know why the other Michael Douglas is here.
Yes.
But why are you here?
He's here to get his hair done. Michael Douglas.
I'm a brand ambassador for OGX, which is a great big shampoo collection, which we've got over here as well. So I'm here doing an event for them. I had a lovely time at the Clarence Hotel last night, hosting an event for journalists and influencers, and I'm trying to educate the world about hair in a way that... what I would like is for people to look in a mirror and like what they see a little bit more than they did last week or last month. Because if everybody did that, the world would be slightly better as a result. So I'm always trying to educate people, whether it's working with brands or whether it's my own tools company or something like that, to get people's hair just to look a bit better so they like themselves a bit more. That's all I'm asking.
There's nothing like a nice hairdo to make it feel better about yourself. No. Nothing in the world.
Even better if you could do that. You didn't have to go somewhere, but you could do it, you know. That would be super nice.
I had to do my hair every day myself during lockdown for TV, so that was and I know, and now I know, I was cutting it and everything. What you guys go through all the time. It was a nightmare. It took me ages. The skill you have is amazing.
But you've developed a relationship with your hair unlike you had before, and that's what I want really, I guess, is people just to kind of understand a bit more about their hair, because it's amazing how few people know what to do with it or how to make it look shiny or full or voluminous. And I think, well, I know, I'll tell you.
OK, that's great. I can see the front. It's the back where I have the problem.
He has a bit that sticks out.
Like, I could literally, if you were to plug an aerial into my ear, you'd probably pick up Sky. Because I don't know what's going on at the back.
Well, you've got to leave it longer at the back. Your hairdresser needs to leave it longer at the back and let gravity do the work.
All right. I'm bringing back the mullet.
Oh, God, now look what you've done. The mullet's already back. We don't need one for you.
He picked up Clippers in the 80s. He knows all about wedges and mullets.
What's a wedge?
Will you explain what
a wedge is like where you've got a big line across the back, so it's shaved.
Like a step.
There's a step. Yeah, we used to call it step of the wedge.
Step.
Yeah, a lot of boy bands used to have it in the early 90s, you know, but a lot of people would come and say, can I have the wedge, please? You know, it'd be like, yep, can do that. We'll give him one. Not a wedgie, a wedge.
Yeah, not a wedgie. Yeah. No, nobody wants a wedgie.
Nobody wants a wedge either, not in the studio.
No.
Thank you so much. Now, you're going to be sticking around. You're not going to be doing any wedgies or wedges.
No.
Or mullets or anything like that.
Really nice hairstyle and very beautiful girl.
Yeah. Yes, we're going to recreate a big bouncy signature curl of Sabrina Carpenter. Not one curl, there'll be a few of them, like it'll be lovely and fluffy.
All right, but we need to eat as well. So coming up, we're serving duck in the kitchen. We'll see you for that after this quick break. Yes, welcome back. We're getting a bit fancy in the kitchen today with the perfect meal for a birthday or anniversary dinner or just a date night. Proper date night.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Now, Tommy Butler from the Johnstown estate in Enfield is making cooked duck leg with braised red cabbage, orange and pink peppercorn juice. I never thought I'd have to say juice on TV. Oh, sorry.
C'est jus. On dit pas le S en français. Je sais.
Jus.
OK.
Right.
I'm the wife. Sorry.
Every day is a school day, Brooke. Every day. All right, let's get started.
OK, right, we'll start with the duck, right? So, confit duck. Confit means preserved. So it's an old preserving method, like we would have back in the day. We would have preserved stuff in butter and the bogs and all that. This is what the French did. They used to store stuff in the duck, right? In fat, sorry. So to confit the leg. So what they would do is they would salt the leg, right? So I have a bit of herb salt here, right? So you just salt the leg and you would just leave it there overnight or even for a couple of days till you dry it out completely. So again, what you're doing there is you're actually kind of sealing, not sealing, but you're kind of locking in the chance of it actually getting any kind of poisoning or any kind of bacteria or anything like that. So you're locking in those air cells and removing as much moisture as possible, right? And then what they would do is they would take it out and they would literally, from the duck, they would just drop it in to the duck fat like that. Now, I had a big spiel before I came on, ready to go, about how duck fat and it's not healthy and stuff. And I did a quick Google just out of interest. Apparently, duck fat is full of antioxidants and it's full of oleic acid, so it's not as fattening as I was certainly led to believe. So apparently it's not as bad. So cooking in duck fat is not that bad. So you shouldn't feel too bad about your Christmas dinner. Except for the size and stuff.
There's 12 weeks and 5 days to go, and he said the C word.
Exactly. And I would be using this duck fat for Christmas for my roasties.
Okay.
You would be keeping it and using it again.
All right.
So what you do there, so it goes into the duck fat, right, which is solid, and then you just melt it a little bit, yeah? Drop it in. I've got some thyme in here. Whoops. I have some bay leaves and a couple of garlic cloves. You can add spices in here. You can add literally whatever you want. I'm going to add a cinnamon stick, a couple of star anise. Bang. That's it. That goes into the oven for up to about kind of, I'm going to say, kind of 2 to 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
2 to 3 hours?
Yeah, so you slow cook it, say 140, 150. This is not like a joint of beef where you cook it on a higher temperature. You want it to just cook gently. So when you take it out... You can cover it if you want. It's covered in the fat.
The reason I'm asking is because I'm the one who gets the job of cleaning the oven. So if there's like duck fat spitting everywhere, I'm cleaning it.
Right, yeah.
So I'm saving myself a job.
Very much depends. But again, kind of 2 to 3 hours, cover, uncover. And then you take it out, you leave it rest for a while. Just be careful when you're taking it out of the fat, because obviously the fat reaches quite a high temperature, yeah? That's why you don't need it at 180, because then you're cooking, it's almost like you're deep frying it then in the oven, which you don't want. So slower. You know me, less is more, slower is better. So you just do that, yeah? Now, we're going to start with the cabbage, right? So for the braised red cabbage, it's very simple, OK? Now, I've used a little bit of duck fat of this because I want the flavours to continue throughout the journey, yeah? So from here, again, look at this. Isn't that just the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in your life?
It is.
Yeah,
It's
my chefy moment coming in. It's beautiful, you know? So again, we're going to start with some onions, OK? Onions go in, and a little bit of apple. So I just want to kind of get a little bit of colour on those guys, yeah? For kind of a minute or two, right? Yeah. And then what you want to do is you want to draw out the kind of flavours of the onions. You want to caramelise them slightly to get a little bit of flavour to that. Touch again of a little bit of herb salt in there, OK? Then you have your cabbage, which I've sliced and washed, straight in. Boom.
Okay. Can that go through a food processor, or are you better off just chopping it yourself?
Whichever you want. Yes. If you have time, chop it. A food processor, it is what it is, you know? And again, like we're coming into winter now, we're going into the darker kind of products again, like, you know, you've got your darker kind of, you know, carrots and parsley's coming back into season and stuff like that. The more hearty stuff, you know. So
I saw Brussels in the supermarket the other day.
Which?
Brussels sprouts in the supermarket.
Too much. We're going to put some
Don't mention them.
We know what's happening 3 months from tomorrow, or yesterday, should I say. So again, I've raisins in here as well, and you add a little bit of apple juice in here as well.
Now, why the apple? Is that really complimentary for duck?
You're just bringing, like, duck and kind of pork as well. They go really well with these kind of fruits. Flavours. Duck à l'orange, it's a classic dish. Yeah. Duck, plum. Go to Chinese, what you get duck and plum sauce, you get plum and ginger. All of those flavours really work really well together with duck, yeah? Because it's quite a heavy meat. So you want the fruits and the sugars and will kind of neutralise that, which is what you want, yeah? So again, this then here, you can add a little bit of balsamic vinegar to this. You can add ginger, chilies, whatever's in your pantry, go to town. Okay. Go to town. It's all flavour, yeah? So again, then you just cover that. You literally cook that then for maybe... Look, again, it depends how you like a cabbage. You cook it for maybe an hour, covered. Just give it a stir every now and then. Okay. Slow and steady on maybe kind of a heat 3.
Yeah, is it a slow, a medium heat?
A medium heat, kind of 3 if you're kind of gas mark 3 roughly. So again, that's what it starts out with. But then when it finishes, it kind of drops down to... It kind of comes down to that, like, kind of... nice, soft, generous flavours. You draw out the colours again, the sugars in the apples and all that. They draw out the colours of the cabbage to get a really rich, lovely cabbage dinner, basically. Then for the jus, I stole a bit from the hotel last night. So what for any good gravy, right?
He made it himself, okay?
Yeah. Any good gravy, all you're doing is, right, you get a little bit of red wine. I'll keep all your carrot trimmings, your onion trimmings. Put them into a pot, reduce it with the red wine, get some chicken stock. You can buy bags of chicken stock now in any supermarket, right? Take 2 bags of chicken stock, put it in, and just reduce it down. A little bit of gravy powder or corn flour at the end. Perfect gravy. That's it. You know, you don't have to be... Like restaurants, we do a whole 2-3 day thing, which is different, you know. But again, that's it. And then from that, you can add whatever flavours you want. You can make a pepper sauce out of it. You can make whatever you fancy, yeah? But this, to complement the duck, right, what I did was I got some pink peppercorns, which are my favourite. They're kind of, again, they're a little bit fruity, you know, then they grow in the trees, or they're kind of fruits, grow at the end of trees, so they're quite fruity. I've added a little bit of orange zest in here and a little bit of orange juice. I've added a star anise and a cinnamon stick.
I feel as if I'm getting most of me 5 a day. This.
Yeah, I was thinking about you. So again, and then when you juice it down, you get that kind of consistency, yeah? That's the kind of consistency you want in your gravy. Not too thick like a gravy, which is different, you know?
It looks like real rich gravy.
Yeah, it's again, you don't need a lot of it because there's quite wholesomeness, yeah? And then your quack. As I said, you can see it's quite warm when it comes out of the oven, yeah? And that's what you want then, yeah? You have nice and crispy. Again, you can be really fancy and you can give it a quick blowtorch to crisp up the skin, if it works. Just like that, yeah? You get a nice crispy skin just to finish off.
Now, not everyone has a blowtorch at hand.
Yeah. Char grill
just
is
use
just
the
as
grill.
good, yeah?
Char
Grill is just good. But again, watch if you're going to put it in char grill, remove it to a clean tray because the spray and the spits and spats will come out. Then look,
in the oven.
Yeah.
just again, we serve this dish in the bar. It's nice and simple. You know, there's nothing to it. Again, it's slow cooking. You could throw it into the oven, you forget about it. Go in, have a glass of wine, come back an hour later, and good luck and thanks, as they say. So there is your quack on top. Yep. And up in there, a little bit of jus, just on the side.
And the bone stays in it because it will give it that flavour.
Exactly, yeah. And again, it's nice and kind of tender. It's a delicious dish. Again, it's wholesome. We're coming into winter now. It's that time of the year where you want just a nice, simple...
Now, Tommy, can I just bring that home as it is and I'll pretend I cooked it myself?
Say nothing.
Yeah. Score some brownie points.
She'd never know.
She would never know.
She would never know. It would be a secret, a nice secret. Like Michael not telling Davina that she was winning that award. A nice secret.
Exactly the
And
secret.
again, there's cheats you can do in this as well. You know,
Go on.
You could put in, like, again, if you don't want to do a whole orange, you can get a drop of marmalade at the end of when the sauce is ready and stuff like that. You just throw a drop of marmalade in. You can throw a bit of jam in here. You can throw a bit of red currant jelly or a little bit of raspberry jam into your cabbage. So there's different ways to, you know, without going to all the trouble, without kind of cheating.
Go to the trouble.
You know?
Go to the trouble.
Absolutely worth it. 100%.
Good to hear.
Always good to see you, Tommy. Without question.
Thanks, guys.
Really amazing. Wow.
She just wants to say this so that she can get another forkful of food into her mouth.
Full recipe details are up on our website, or you can find more from Tommy at the Johnstown Estate in Enfield.
Up next, celebrity hairstylist Michael Douglas shows us how to create some chic, bouncy waves, just like Sabrina Carpenter's. We'll see you for that in just a few minutes.
You're very welcome back. Celebrity hairstylist Michael Douglas has stuck around to show us how to perfect some chic, bouncy waves, just like chart topper Sabrina Carpenter this winter.
Michael, where do we begin with this? It's the trend taking over.
It is. I mean, I think the thing is to begin with healthy hair. You know, a lot of people kind of damage their hair and they go, oh, my hair's really damaged, what should I do about it? It's like, not damage it in the first place would be good. So, you know, I'm an ambassador, as you know, for OGX, these hair shampoos and conditioners here. These are a brilliant way, essentially, to try and prevent damage in the first place.
Yeah.
So using a good shampoo, a good conditioner. They've got a heat protection spray in there as well. Please, if you're going to use heated tools on your hair, heat protection, because you can't repair hair. People don't realise this, because there's lots of products out there called hair repair, or repair my hair. Once it's damaged, it is done.
All they do is coat it with silicone and things like that, isn't it?
So you can cosmetically make hair feel better and look better, you know, and actually perform better, but you can't actually repair it. Other than with a pair of scissors. That'll repair it.
That's what we're doing right
Is that what's happening here?
How many times did you colour your hair in the last year?
6.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, right.
So I can't stress really, if you can prevent the damage in the first place by using something like these products here from OGX, then I couldn't recommend them enough. Now, Inga here, as you can see, very beautiful, lovely hair.
Very healthy.
We started with biotin and collagen on there, but the other thing I've used is this. It's called the Prologue. Now, this is a prep product that you would put on damp hair and blow dry it in, and it prevents moisture from breaking down the hair.
The frizz. We don't want to be like Monica from Friends.
The frizz, right?
The dreaded frizz.
Moisture is the enemy of all hairstyles. If you can push moisture back, that's in the atmosphere all the time, your hairstyle's going to look.
So we did the heat spray as well. So just to and that protects it from any like hot
spray.
tools, any hair dryers, everything like that.
The hairdryer gets about 130 degrees, so it's not too damaging, the hairdryer, actually. So don't worry about blow drying your hair too much. You need to get up to 180, 200 degrees for longer periods of time where it starts to damage. Yeah, but that and that in there on damp hair, and we blow dried all of that in. The heat hardens the product onto the hair. So you can't just put it on and leave it in. You have to activate it with the heat and pop. You get all the
Protective coat is there.
Yeah, great.
Excellent.
And then what we're doing now is using, this is my little hair tool here, the MD London Wave. This is it. Now, what you can notice about this is there's bristles on here, but there's also these very fine bristles on here. Now, this is for like hair like yours, where you just want to smooth out a bit, but not take all the body out of it.
Yeah.
So this little flick's great, right? So you could use the fine bristles there, the bigger bristles there, but you can also rotate these in, and you can also lock them in as well. And that's what we're doing here with Inga's hair.
That's a very handy device.
It's great, right? So yeah, it's available at Harvey Nichols, this over here in Ireland. But watch this. So we'll take this section of hair here. Now, because we've got very long hair, I'm just going to wrap this around the barrel here, like so.
So it's like a curling wand with...
It's like a curling wand. It's like a hot brush.
Bristles?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can't think of the word for it. So we call it the MD London Wave. Now, what you'll be able to see, probably in the cameras there, is some steam coming out of the hair. Hair gets styled when moisture is removed from it. That's what it works. So this is moisture coming out of the hair here, and this is what's fixing the hair in place. You don't actually need styling products to style hair. You just need to remove moisture from it. And as we tip that off there, you'll be able to see we get this little...
And there's a difference between moisture and smoke coming off the hair.
There is a big difference between moisture and smoke.
If your hair smells like burnt toast, it's time to run away.
But as this moisture's come out, this is a good sign. A lot of people say this, whoa, 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 whoa. So the hair feels dry to touch, but actually you can see there the moisture's coming out. That is changing the bonds inside the hair, making it curly. It's not a product that's doing that. It is the process of removing moisture. Okay. Now, obviously, as moisture goes back into the hair goes back to its original state, and that's why you need the protector of a product on there.
Yeah.
So let's just have a little look at that. Look at this lovely shine as well you're getting from there. Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous. So that's Sabrina Carpenter Wave we're talking about here. This tool is called the MD London Wave. It's not a curler.
It's a waver.
So we're putting waves into the hair here. So I don't expect it to be super curly.
Yeah.
We'll put a little side parting in here, and it'll probably...
Gives a bit more oomph, doesn't it?
It goes glamorous all of a sudden, doesn't it? I always think, people say, my hair's a bit dull, and I go, put a deep diagonal parting in from the crown to one side, and flip it over and see what it looks like. And they all go, oh, my God.
Yeah.
I'm on the red carpet all of a sudden. You know. So
getting all the tips and tricks.
Here, yeah. So we'll bring this forward. And I always, when I'm styling hair, is wrapping it backwards away from the face here like this. When you start to roll it forwards, you actually get a kind of like 1940s character.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like you're in Downton Abbey or something like that.
The kind of...
Yeah, so look at your hair.
Almost like the pin curl thing.
You've done a great job on your hair today.
I didn't do my own hair today, I have to say. The lovely Michelle did that. I used to in lockdown, not anymore.
Yeah.
But now, if you want to keep it for a little bit longer, would it be an idea to pin those curls till they dry, if you can, or is that not what we're looking at here?
Yeah, I mean, you could do. I mean, what's interesting is the things that break hairstyles down is gravity being one of them, right? There's this force coming down from the atmosphere the whole time and flattening your hair, and then you've got moisture, so you're trying to push back that. So what I would say is it's a really good idea to pin this. I mean, somebody asked me earlier about doing hair for a wedding, and I'm like, yeah, if you want to do your hair for a wedding, do this. Get some sectioning clips like these here, get these virtually anywhere, and then just scoop all the hair up and just start pinning it up, like...
Just loosely?
Yeah, just loosely, but just force the gravity back. Yeah. Well, you don't want it to be too messy, so you could... You know, let's take a section here, for instance, and you could take that and then try and keep it in its original form. So you could push that in. I always think this is a bit like the old telephone coil, you know, for those that remember. And then you could pin that in place, but you're just pushing gravity back a little bit while you do your makeup, put your outfit on, all the rest of it. So if you've got a special occasion, it is a good idea to do that.
Do you ever put different textures in the hair?
Yes, I love leave-in texturizing sprays. So there's loads of these to go at, but tiny bit of dry shampoo mixed with a bit of hairspray, boom, get loads of lovely texture out of the hair.
Because there's so many confusing products these days, and sometimes the old school ones are the best, aren't they?
I totally agree. What you're looking for in a product is PVP copolymer.
What now?
Yeah, exactly. PVP copolymer. Now, if you look up styling products,
OK, I need glasses.
Yeah. You will need a microscope.
Young one?
But that's what you're looking for in there. Now, a PVP copolymer coats the hair shaft with a type of PVP. You remember PVP glue when you were a kid at school? Old school products.
Yeah.
But that's the stuff that gives the hair hold, protection, light bounces off it. You get lots of shine. It's a really brilliant ingredient to find in styling.
And the moisture stays away.
And it creates a barrier between the moisture in the atmosphere and the hair itself. So, yeah, something like that. But these have been ingredients around since the 80s. You know?
So once the curls are in there, how do we make it kind of va-va-voom?
Va-va-voom, right, OK. Wow, so there you go. See, we've got this kind of nice flat curl here, which looks good. I'm going to use this brush. This is called the Manta brush. I don't know if you've seen these or not. You can get these in Boots out here. But the idea is that it moulds to your hands. So what we can start to do is turn these curls into waves by just brushing through the hair a little bit here. Now, this one's specifically designed for curly hair because it's got very long prongs on it, if you like. So they can go right down to the scalp and get that in the hair there. And you can start, we really start to see these waves come to life. They stop being curls and they start to expand out a little bit.
So we are getting that volume into it now.
Yes, great, isn't it?
It's like you're baking or something. It's like get the air into a cake kind of job.
It is like that, isn't it? Well, I've got a few friends who are chefs and I'm thinking, yeah, we're probably in the same business in many ways.
So do you think the prep products are more important than the finishing products really when it comes to the overall look?
Personally, I do, yes. I'm going to put a tiny bit of this oil on the hair, like 2 droplets of that. Not that the hair really needs it because it's super shiny, but this is the stuff that creates the protection that people want in the hair, so it doesn't damage in the first place. Now, Igna, can I just chuck your head upside down for a minute for me, please? There we go. I always do this to the girls when I meet them, you know, get their head upside down, get some air into the scalp, back to baking again, and then chuck your head back.
And now we shall get the before shot and see the transformation that we have.
So she's, it's her.
Yeah.
Sabrina.
So nice, though. Look at these lovely waves. Look at that.
Oh, I'm jealous of that hair. It's fabulous.
Oh, yeah. She's got a touch, hasn't she?
When you have hair like that,
but immediate satisfaction is what you get from whenever you get your hair done. It's amazing.
And a little bit of hairspray, a little bit of dry shampoo at the roots. This will prolong the life of this hairstyle as well.
You're an absolute angel, Michael. Thank you so much.
Good job. Well done.
It's over to Martin.
OK. The hair's done. She needs to go out now that she's looking like that. Absolutely. Coming up tomorrow, she's known for her roles in James Bond and Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, and, of course, the hilarious Wedding Crasher. So, Kitty Cat. Hollywood legend Jane Seymour will be joining us in the studio. We'll also be chatting to the mindful monk whose viral poem caught the attention of CNN's Anderson Cooper.
Plus, we meet the lady who has accepted the challenge of getting a tattoo live on air.
All right.
Plus, we go head-to-head with some boxing robots. All that plus new sport weather you're waking up to. We're back tomorrow from 9.
OK.
Boxing robots.
Robots.
Seen
By
that.
the way, we need to say hello to a couple of people. Seamus O'Neill is marrying Tracy O'Halloran from Duleek in Bellingham Castle today. That's where it's happening. Seamus was in touch to say that he can't wait to be Tracy's husband.
Oh, congratulations and good luck.
Best of luck.
Yeah.
Best of luck for the day and for the future too.
Hope the rain stays off.
OK. Levi's are over ace. It's Darren, you were saying they were number 1.
What was this?
Yeah, Darren says
Levi
Wranglers
501.
are just as good, but half the price. I don't know, maybe he sells
I
Wranglers
was more
for
a
living.
Wrangler girl.
Were you?
I have to say, no, I was more a Wrangler girl.
Mr. Wrangler said so.
I didn't even know there was
Snickers
Mr.
That was
treasure
the
me.
ad. That was the ad, Mr. Wrangler. When I was a teen, I wore my Canadian tuxedo, double denim. Every chance I got, no matter who tore me out of it for wearing double denim. The other day, I saw my daughter leave with the exact outfit my friends used to bully me for. Guess I was just ahead of my time, says Jay.
Michael had a Levi's denim jacket on him there, actually. See, all on mode.
Denim never dies.
We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
See you then.